Welcome to episode 165 of the most underrated wrestling podcast in the world. You are now running wild with WellsMania Podcast. I am your host, the Kyle Wells, aka WellsMania, and I am joined. It's like the Brady Bunch over here. I am joined by the world's greatest co-host, Payne. I am joined by the 5-foot giant, Chris Engel, and I am joined by Double J, Jeremiah Jackson. Fellas, this is awesome having all of you here. We're all in different places, but we're all here at the same time. How's everyone doing tonight on episode 165?
I'm excited. I'm really just here because I want to see how you're doing after your hero betrayed you and everything that you stand for.
Yeah, mostly the same reason. I just want to check on you.
Well,
make sure you're all right.
I appreciate the wellness check, fellas, or wellsness check. See what I did there? Anyways, I'm doing great. As you and everyone else knows, I'm the biggest John Cena fan of all time, and we're kicking off this episode addressing one of the greatest heel turns in professional wrestling history that took place this past weekend at Elimination Chamber when John Cena gave his soul to the final boss, The Rock. But to answer your guys' questions right from the jump, I'm doing great. I feel great. I have embraced the heel turn. Yes, it shocked me. I was very surprised, not to quote John Cena, but I did not see this coming. And I don't think a lot of us saw this coming. And if you did, you must be like the second coming of Nostradamus, because I was genuinely swerved, fellas.
Nobody saw this coming.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
There's going to be people that say, "Oh, I talked about it or I predicted it." Talking about it is one thing. Actually believing that it will happen is something else entirely. And I don't think anybody on planet Earth believed John Cena was going to turn heel in his farewell tour.
No, hold on. I actually, and my wife will confirm this, said before the match, it can only go one of two ways. If Cody Rhodes actually doesn't agree to it and he stays who he is, and he did, I was like, what's the other option? Because you knew Cena was going to win the Elimination Chamber. So think about it from a logical standpoint. Why does he fight Cody Rhodes? Why do you have two ultimate baby faces fight each other? What's the outcome? What makes that work? So that's where I started to get the suspicion. Did I think it might actually occur? No, but I sure did jump off my couch when he kicked him right in the balls.
Yeah, so did I.
That look that John Cena gave The Rock still is embedded in my brain. Like, I can close my eyes and I can see that face, just John Cena's serious face, and then
it never changed either.
No,
it was cold.
It was just melted
like a serial killer.
And when he went back to look Cody right in the face and then kicked him right in the balls, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe that just happened. And as a matter of fact, I was on my WellsMania TikTok live doing a live watch along, and you and everyone else got to see my live reaction to it, which is something that I normally don't do. So I'm really glad that I was live streaming my reaction, because that was a raw, authentic, genuine, holy shit moment caught on video. And I know that we're, days removed from it, but it still doesn't feel real to me, damn it. Like, there are parts of me where I'm like, oh my God, did he really do that? Yes.
It's because we were told for 20 years that it was an impossibility, because it never would have happened in the Vince regime, because Vince told Cena. Yeah. Well, and also, like, Cena's gone on record multiple times and said that he's wanted to turn heel before, but Vince told him no every single time. So I think without Vince there, especially after The Rock going heel last year and creating the final boss gimmick, I think that might have been the catalyst that got the wheels spinning in Cena's mind. And I'm pretty sure John was sitting there going, you know what? I don't want to be some lame ass nostalgia run for my farewell tour that just shows up and does matches to get a cheap pop from the crowd. I actually want to create something here and add a new layer onto my legacy while going out. Because that's what The Rock did with the final boss. The Rock as the final boss has created an entirely new layer to the legacy of The Rock. And I think that's what we're going to get with John Cena.
Well, even before Final Boss Rock, I mean, you can go all the way back to 1996 when Hulk Hogan, brother, gave us the greatest heel turn of all time. You want to talk about somebody reinventing themselves. You go from Hulkamania to Hollywood Hulk Hogan. That, in my mind, is what I think is the first time that I can really remember a super over mega babyface franchise player turning heel. And now fast forward, all these years later, John Cena. Now, granted, John Cena was a heel early on when he was Basic Thugonomics, the doctor of Thugonomics. But for the past, 21 years, John Cena has been a face, the franchise of WWE. And like Payton said, nobody expected John Cena to turn heel. Even when everybody except for me during John Cena's main run wanted a heel turn, we didn't get it. You didn't get it. But now, 2 decades later, we got it. So JJ, lay it on, man. Special guest, by the way, Jeremiah Jackson, joining us right here on episode 165. You specifically requested to be a special guest on this episode. So that's how I know how big, how mega impactful the John Cena heel turn is. Lay the smackdown on us, JJ.
I mean, yeah. Piggybacking off what you said a little bit. I think when I first saw it, me and everybody had to have thought the same thing about the NWO. But now the more I think about it, it's a little different. When Hogan did it, it was more along the lines of he was reinventing himself, and it was still pretty organic. With Cena, is more like Payton said. I mean, was he just going to show up and play the greatest hits, and each town they go to, they're going to push out a new, hey, look, it's the last time I'm here shirt, or do you shake things up? And they went with shake things up, and this pseudo corporation or whatever you want to call it idea looks pretty good. I want to touch base on something that I keep seeing though, and I'm not necessarily a fan of this guy's music. It's not something I listen to. My kid probably knows more about it than I do. But everybody hating on Travis Scott being there, I don't think they see the big picture. Like, they see the same thing with Cena kind of, but they don't see it with Travis Scott. The Rock controls everything. When he's talking about, when I bring you in, I bring you into everything, and everybody around me gets bigger. So not only is it wrestling, it's movies, it's music. You got the biggest name in hip hop music, the guy who's singing the WrestleMania theme song,
Fiend,
and just collapsing Cody Rhodes' eardrum.
Yeah.
And standing there and looking like a shadow agent doing it. Like, it's all part of the grander plan. I can't figure out how there's thousands of people on Twitter that are like, well, what is Travis Scott doing there? Read between the lines.
But here's the problem, and this goes back to, like, I had multiple rants on the Rock promo from a couple weeks ago. For some reason, the wrestling fans of this generation, I still feel like, have been so brainwashed by the Vince regime that they can't read between the lines. They can only see surface level storytelling. They can't see the multiple layers of things. And that's the generation that we're in now. Triple H is not telling surface level stories anymore. He's telling deep, multi-layered, long-term booking here. Like The Rock has said multiple times, I'm a long gamer. That's what it is. The bad blood thing, everybody thought, oh, bad blood, it meant nothing. It meant nothing. Well, guess what? It did mean something. The whole time he was holding up the John Cena 3-point stance, and that's what it led to. You know,
that would be hustle, loyalty, and respect, Payton. But
yes.
now I guess we can say no hustle, no loyalty, and no respect.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and also you see, like, to go off the Travis Scott thing, you know, The Rock literally said in his promo a couple weeks ago to Cody Rhodes, his wording was, "I'm the most powerful man in the world." Like, he believes that, and he can back it up. So it shouldn't be weird that he can just walk out with one of the biggest music icons in the world and then have him collapse Cody Rhodes' eardrum just for the fun of doing it. Like,
I mean, how big does the group get?
yeah, well, it's very, and you know, JJ's our resident WCW guy. It kind of plays into the New World Order aspect of things, where they just had Dennis Rodman show up. You know what I mean? As a member of the NWO, it's
Travis
very
Scott
similar.
definitely kind of gives me Dennis Rodman vibes.
Yeah, he's definitely the worm.
And you think about that, and you get JJ on here. He is our WCW human encyclopedia, Jeremiah Jackson. And of course, you know, I go back to Bash at the Beach, 1996. I was a 10-year-old boy, and I'm watching that at my grandma's house in her living room. And all of a sudden, Hulk Hogan, red and yellow, coming down the aisle is going to help Sting and Macho Man. Wrong. He turned his back on all of us Hulkamaniacs. He joins forces with Hall and Nash, the Insiders, and thus on that day changed the whole landscape. I'm sorry. Did I say the Insiders?
Yes.
That's the name that I'm giving The Rock and John Cena.
The Insiders.
The Insiders was actually Nash and DDP.
The Outsiders, Hall and Nash. Oh, there was already an Insiders?
Nash and DDP were.
I guess I'm going to have to come up with a new name then.
But, you know, I would actually, since we do have JJ here and he's our WCW guy, I would like to get his opinion on, there's been this big debate. What do you think is the bigger or better heel turn, Hogan or Cena doing it? To me, they're different, but I can see why people are making the comparison. What is your opinion on it, JJ? What do you think? How do you compare the Hogan turn to the Cena turn?
Well, let me touch base real quick. And I want to take credit for this because I saw somebody else post this theory. But we want to talk NWO, so it all ties together. The conspiracy now is who's the third man. You already have 3. And then at the Chamber, you saw 2.
The Rock and his hand signals.
The Rock is the king of visual aids. Jim Cornette will tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the king of using visual aids and production to tell the story. So if you've got 2, now you're down to 1. Who's the third man? You have the Hogan and a Hall, or a Hogan and a Nash, or you have a Hall and a Nash already. Who's your Hogan? Kind of
Hogan.
going to that. I doubt it. But kind of going to your question there, Payton. I would say that Hogan's lives longer. I think it's going to be because of the way society and wrestling culture is. It moves fast. Like, people won't remember this as much.
Yeah.
They'll remember it, but they won't remember it like they remember Hogan. Like, immediately, me included, everybody was like thinking NWO. Like, oh my God, it's the, I mean, I saw the guy, the 90s WWE Twitter, like putting Cena head over Hogan coming out and, you know, leg dropping Savage, who had Rhodes' head on it. But I just think that this won't last that long, possibly. I don't see the end of this story finishing with Cena finishing his career as a bad guy. He has to go back the other way at some point.
I agree. I think that by the end of it all, he will go back to being a babyface. But I think this will be fun. Let's just, for the sake of argument, say there will be a third man. Let's go around. Who would you want to be the third man? So I guess, Kyle, we'll start with you. If we go around the table, who would be your ideal third man if the group did get a third?
Oh, man. You know, and I've been thinking about this because, like JJ said, and like you said, Payton, our minds automatically go to the NWO. You could call this the New World Order, Jack. So, yeah, when Hogan joined forces with the Outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, I immediately started thinking, who could be on the magnitude to join forces with The Rock and John Cena? And automatically, my first initial thought was Hulk Hogan. I mean, you talk about heat, brother. If you went ahead and added Hulk Hogan as the third man again, all these years later, but this time, people legitimately hate Hulk Hogan.
The heat would be nuclear.
It would be so nuclear. I don't even think that the WWE or the wrestling world would be ready for Hulk Hogan joining forces with The Rock and John Cena.
Only this time he's
it's
more
all
the
there,
DiBiase
man.
Role.
Yeah, right, yeah, because he wouldn't be able to wrestle.
Yeah.
So in my mind, the third man has to be somebody who can actually wrestle. And there's two names. There's two names that automatically come to my mind. And the first one is Logan Paul. I don't know why, but I just feel like Logan Paul would fit so well with The Rock and Cena. And he's already a heel, so he would mix well with those guys. The crowd would boo him, they'd hate him. But another name that came to my mind was somebody who has been absolutely screwed over for the past year that would want to, I guess you could say, also sell his soul. And that, my friends, is Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre has a strong case to want to sell his soul to The Rock, because if that's what it takes to get what you think you deserve, then by all means, why would Drew McIntyre not want to sell his soul to the final boss and join The Rock and John Cena? So those are two names that, I mean, the fantasy booking is obviously Hulk Hogan, but those are two realistic names that I could see joining this stable.
Chris, what about you? Who's your ideal third man?
Drew McIntyre is on the top of the list for all the reasons that Kyle said. And he's already got links to The Rock with all his stuff back at the Netflix premiere, and The Rock making sure he signed the new contract and giving him that new family sword. But my second one would be, why not put KO in the group?
It's a good one.
Because you can see him just wanting that extra leg up on everybody.
I could see
now
that.
He is better than everybody else.
I could see that. I got a name that I'm going to throw out there that I feel like would be a swerve, because in my opinion, it's got to be someone that the betrayal would hurt Cody again, because that's the whole point of the group.
Do it.
And
say it. Say his name.
I was going to say Seth Rollins.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Goldust.
No, that doesn't even that wouldn't even apply. He can't. He's under contract with AEW. Seth Rollins, I think, is someone who is not in the conversation for being the third man, but should be in the conversation, because, like, look at the promo that CM Punk cut on Raw this week. It was about The Rock, it was about John Cena, and it was about Seth Rollins. You know, so Rollins has been tiptoeing that line of going heel again. You know what I mean? So why not turn on Cody, the man? He literally sacrificed everything last year to help Cody, and then Cody does what Cody does best and stabs his friends in the back by, helping all of his enemies out. Well, Rollins has said that to his face, like, I gave everything up for you, and now you're out here helping Roman Reigns and the bloodline and all stuff. Well, at what point does Seth Rollins go, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to sign up with The Rock, and I'm going to win my world title back?
It's a good name.
So,
JJ, what about you, brother?
I want to point out that all of you have a common denominator. Every single one of those guys has already done this. They've already sold out at one point. They've already screwed over their best friend at one point. They've already stabbed their own mom in the back at one point. One guy that hasn't done that has mega following right now. Absolutely.
I know where you're going.
Scorching nuclear fan favorite. Go side with the old family bloodline. Jey Uso.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Jey Uso.
Man.
Okay.
Cody Rhodes' ally. Jey Uso.
Former tag team partner.
Samoan
Tag
bloodline.
champion.
Jey Uso.
Yeah, they won the titles.
Jey Uso right now is John Cena 10 to 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So while Cena's impactful because of what it is and who it is, with your current target audience, your weekly viewers, if you see Jey Uso screw over Cody Rhodes and no more yeet, come on. And The Rock could buy anybody at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That tells a different story. Now you want to talk nuclear? Now you've taken everything away from the fans. Oh, you like this? Not anymore. You don't. You like this?
So
Nope.
are you getting it? Maybe Jey Uso sells his soul to The Rock to beat Gunther because he can't beat Gunther at WrestleMania, so he has
That's
to
what
sign
I
up
was.
to do
That was
it.
just what I was just about to say. So, how does he become a part of this?
How many
stable?
days are we away from WrestleMania? What?
We're about 2 months.
Okay, are we telling long-term story or are we trying to squeeze it in?
I guess I would have to say that
because long-term story is he doesn't beat Gunther, or it happens at WrestleMania. Long-term, even more than that, is maybe he doesn't beat Gunther. Oh, he can't beat Gunther on the big stage. Oh, he can't beat Gunther here. He can't beat Gunther anywhere. What do I need? I need the final boss. I need that leg up. I need that guy in my corner. I need somebody that's bigger than Roman Reigns.
So what, you do the reveal at Backlash or something?
You have
somewhere
between
the end of the spring and the early summer.
This
whole thing has to culminate in a multitude of stories.
Okay.
And the biggest one potentially that we haven't even talked about yet is the main one, which would be The Rock and Roman Reigns.
Yeah, which I think if I was going to put money on the table, I would bet that's the plan for next year in New Orleans. I think that The Rock and Roman will be the main event of WrestleMania 42. I think that's all. I think all roads lead to that match happening.
Long-term storytelling. Why did he
get better? Damn it! I've only been waiting forever for it.
Yeah,
like I seriously want The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. We keep getting it passed over year after year after year.
But the thing I think you got is
but there's a reason they do it.
I'm a long gamer, and I think that if that, like, you're not going to top that match. That is the biggest match that The Rock can have at this point in his career. And I think that has to be the end game. So if they still have other stories to tell with The Rock, keep pushing that one to the end, because that is the Avengers end game level event for the Bloodline. If you just do it now, the Rock can't come back from that.
You know what? I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to say I don't want The Rock and Roman Reigns next year at WrestleMania 42. Nah. I want it at WrestleMania 43.
Oh, here in
WrestleMania returns to Indianapolis, damn it. That's where I want that match to happen.
If we
give me The Rock versus Roman Reigns in Indianapolis. If we get Mania here, if the Tennessee Titans Stadium is not ready to go in 2027, the backup plan is more than likely WrestleMania after the success of the Royal Rumble right here in Indianapolis. All roads are leading back to Lucas Oil Stadium to host WrestleMania 43. So that's where I personally want The Rock versus Roman Reigns, just so all four of us can be there live inside Lucas Oil Stadium to witness a match that is only big enough to happen at WrestleMania.
Beyond The Rock and Roman Reigns, I'm kind of sick and tired of hearing about that match. We all know it's coming. It's going to happen. Chris, we lost him. That match is coming at some point. But I'm more interested in what other chapters of the final boss are we going to get before there. Like, when I see John Cena and The Rock standing side by side, they have to team up at some point, right? You have to have a tag team match. Like, you can't not have the final boss and John Cena team up to face Cody Rhodes and someone else at some point in 2025. So do we get that at SummerSlam? Or, I've been seeing this thrown around a lot. Could we be looking at basically a carbon copy repeat of what they did last year at WrestleMania? Could we get some sort of tag team main event on night 1 leading into the main event of night 2?
Yeah, man. I have been seeing it all over Twitter that everybody wants Cody Rhodes to join forces with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And we all know that Stone Cold lives out there in Las Vegas, Nevada. But the only problem with that is I don't know if Stone Cold Steve Austin is medically cleared because he just had a knee replacement not too long ago. So unless he's miraculously able to recover, and don't get me wrong, Stone Cold doesn't have to do much. All he has to do is be able to do a stunner, do it safely, and then he's good. If he can do that, then I think you could pair him up with Cody for night 1 of WrestleMania.
But that's the problem is, to me, that match is bigger than Cody versus Cena. So I think if Austin is going to do anything at WrestleMania, it's going to be some sort of run-in. If you're going to do a tag team match at WrestleMania after Monday, the only match that makes sense to me is Cody Rhodes and CM Punk versus John Cena and The Rock. That's the only match, in my opinion, that makes sense.
Is that the main event for night 1 of WrestleMania?
I think it would have to be. It would have to be the main event.
And
that's how Cody, and that's how Punk gets his main event.
If you're going to have The Rock involved, then you need to, as the old adage goes, shit or get off the pot now. Because you're running out of time to find a way to squeeze him into these stories. Obviously, he's the mastermind, but where do you put in this match? You can't put him in a singles match at this point because that's not even his. I mean, we just keep using that term over and over again, long-term storytelling. That goes against everything he's doing. Yeah. If you try and wedge him into something now, secondary to that, he's 52, 53 years old. He'll be 50, like 55 2 years from now at WrestleMania 43, or he'll be right at the cusp of it, I believe. Where does he draw the line with what his body can do and how much he can hold up along with his schedule? You know, there's a lot of factors at play here to fit him in and fit him in the way he wants to be fit in.
I completely. That's why I think that the match with Roman does happen next year. It's just, what do we get before that? Like, you can't not do The Rock versus Cody Rhodes at some point. Like, that match has to happen, right?
It'd be a good SummerSlam match.
If The Rock and Cody never have that match, then what is the point in what we're doing with all of this?
Yeah.
It could be The Rock versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 42. If we don't get Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania 42, I can see us getting The Rock versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 42. But I personally love the thought of CM Punk cashing in the favor to get a main event at WrestleMania. And if that means that he's going to be there for Cody Rhodes and team up with Cody Rhodes and take on The Rock and John Cena, then so be it. Because then, you know, this is just me because I'm going to be there live. So you mean to tell me that I get to watch John Cena wrestle both nights at WrestleMania 41? I'm all in. Sign me up. I'm ready. Let's go.
I guess my biggest
Kyle's
issue.
wet dream.
My biggest issue is at what point, like, okay, if you do, like, and I'm all for it. I would love The Rock to wrestle, and I think that tag match sounds amazing. But if you do that, and then people are also talking about Austin coming in and helping Cody, at what point does it just look like we're just trying to literally recreate the magic that we had last year instead of trying to create something new?
Well, then,
you know what I mean?
Are you recreating the Rock and Austin storyline that's played out for 30 years?
Well, yeah. Well, it's also like if Austin just does a run, like if The Rock interferes in the Cody Cena match and he's beating down Cody, and then the glass shatters and he comes out and he gets rid of The Rock. Okay, it's the same exact thing that happened last year with The Undertaker, just replacing Taker with Austin.
But this year,
what they wanted to do originally.
Yeah, but this year, instead of Cody winning, John Cena would win. So then you got to start thinking, okay, well, who else can get involved on the magnitude that would help John Cena win number 17 at WrestleMania.
Well, and that's why I don't think you have Austin involved, because I don't think you can have Austin be involved in this match in any way, shape, or form, and then have the person he comes in to help lose. Because then, it makes Austin's run-in look like it was pointless.
Unless he turns heel.
That
joins forces.
He's the third man.
He's the third. Austin's the third man, son of a bitch.
What if it's somebody that we're not talking about that's just not been around for a minute?
Don't even bring up that jabroni.
Who you got in mind?
Which jabroni?
Don't even bring up that sellout that, has been Batista. Don't even bring him up.
No.
Okay, good.
Not talking about him.
That ain't
That man sold his soul to somebody else a while ago.
Yeah, somebody. No, what if it's Brock Lesnar?
Well, Chris just popped.
That could be interesting.
What are your thoughts on that, Chris? You're the biggest Brock Lesnar fan.
You're saying what if Brock Lesnar is the third man, or what if Brock Lesnar comes in to help Cody?
What if No, Lesnar will not help Cody Rhodes.
No.
Lesnar looks uncomfortable playing a good guy.
Okay.
Like every time he's ever had to be a good guy, he looks like you're fitting a square peg in a round hole.
Very forced.
He's not a face.
Yeah, it looks like it's totally forced. You have him show up out of nowhere. It's just another paid guy. Like, hey, Vince McMahon was paying me a lot of money. Now TKO and The Rock pay me a lot of money. And they paid me a lot of money to come in here and make sure that Cody Rhodes gets spread out all over this mat. Or whatever hitman, enforcer type role you want to put him in.
What do you think about that, Chris?
I think that would definitely be a shock to everybody. Seeing Brock shake hands with Rock would be almost as shocking as seeing Cena do it, because they don't have a very friendly past either.
Right? I thought
Brock sent Rock away to Hollywood.
Yeah, I did just think of one other person that could be the third man if you really wanted to make it about Cody and people betraying Cody. What if the third man is Randy Orton?
I thought about that already. It makes too much. It almost harkens back to Seth Rollins for me. It's like another guy that's done it.
Yeah,
Randy Orton.
I'm just trying to think though.
Like the last 20 years, like if you're like people that have sold their soul or are rotten people.
Yeah,
it's like the top three guys are probably Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, and
KO.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I personally don't think there is going to be a third man. I don't think that's the story we're telling here. I think people are
I think Rock's the third man.
I think that people are only saying third man because they want so badly to connect it to the Hogan NWO thing. Because that's the only
I'm
thing.
not. I'm really going off of the clues. Like watching The Rock is like watching like a ever evolving riddle or a game. Every little thing he does or says really does. Like when you look back, you're like, oh, that's what that might have meant, and some of the stuff makes sense. It's like little clues. He's like leaving these breadcrumbs for you to follow along.
Yeah.
And he even tells you that when he breaks character and he talks about how fun it is to be an asshole. And he's like, oh, I'm just having a good time drinking Terramana.
And that's,
don't be knocking Terramana tequila. Terramana tequila is very delicious.
Well, and
I'm not knocking Terramana tequila. I'm just saying that like when he cuts back to good old, I don't know, what do we call him? Like just when he goes
into corporate Dwayne,
when he goes into Instagram mode and he's like, everybody, let's spread mana and love. And
that right there, he JJ hit on it. The following the breadcrumbs, that's the genius of The Rock as the final boss character that I don't think 90% of the wrestling audience realizes and appreciates. He's telling these stories on such a deep level that when he's talking, most people just sit there, watch, and they only catch, like I said, the surface level stuff. When a Rock promo's on, especially a final boss promo, you have to like sit there, eyes wide open, ears honed in, because every little word that he says means something.
It all matters.
Yes.
JJ,
there's no wasted words with Rock.
No.
You bring up a great point with the hand signals, and this this kind of crossed my mind a couple of days ago. What if, just throwing this out there, we haven't mentioned his name yet as a potential third man, but what if, the three, obviously, hustle, loyalty, respect, that was John Cena. And the two was also John Cena, I guess you could say as well. But the one, what if it's Roman Reigns? What if The Rock gets Roman Reigns to join forces? But here's the kicker. Roman Reigns screws over John Cena night 2 to close out WrestleMania 41, thus helping Cody Rhodes retain. Then that automatically guarantees us to get The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 42. It would be like once in a lifetime all over again. We got a year-long build to John Cena versus The Rock back in 2011 into 2012. I don't know. Am I crazy thinking that The Rock could get, his family, the Roman Reigns, because the one, obviously, we're counting down to one. And when you think of one, you think of throw the ones up in the sky. So I don't know, man. Is it crazy to think that Roman Reigns could be the third guy?
I get where you're going, but I'm gonna say no, simply for the fact that if you do that, now the entire John Cena heel turn against Cody is being overshadowed by The Rock and Roman Reigns and the build for a year-long out match that we won't see for another 365 days. You're basically telling your audience, hey, this mega main event match you're seeing right now, yeah, it really doesn't matter. This is nothing more than planting the seed for next year's WrestleMania. So I don't think that happens. I don't think, honestly, you're going to get the legitimate build for Rock Roman until late next year, possibly even early 2026.
I guess the only way that it would make sense is if John Cena at WrestleMania then thus realized that, yeah, I'm taking my soul back. And then he gets back on track to the farewell tour. Because that's another question that I have for all of you guys is, how long does a John Cena heel run go in 2025? Where do we see it? Okay, hypothetically speaking, he does win number 17 at WrestleMania 41. Where does the John Cena heel run end?
Two things.
JJ?
One, I was gonna say, I was like listening to you talk about the Roman Reigns thing, and I was like, nah. All the way up until you went like this. And then I was like, well, you know what? Rock's hand signals. It makes so I would say you're not wrong, but you're not right. Your idea makes sense. It just doesn't fit the timeline yet.
Right.
I think if you go long-term storytelling, somehow this does come into play. As far as what you just said, I don't.
I know it's tough, man. It's tough because Payton and I were talking about this the other day on TikTok. It's like, how long do you have Cena go heel?
I'm gonna say one. You just mentioned a minute ago, what John Cena is going to go back to being a babyface at WrestleMania. He's going to that's way too soon. It's way too soon.
When is when's the show there? I know they're talked about. He's got a show in like Boston at like towards the end of the year, right?
Yeah,
December.
There's rumors there's going to be a special pay-per-view in December.
I think it's there.
I'm
with before there.
I'm with JJ. I think Cena's going to be a heel. If the majority, if not all of 2025, leading all the way up to like either the month before his final match or legitimately he turns back the last night. Like I think 99% of 2025 he is going to be a heel.
Yeah, I actually have all his wrongs.
A really good question that we have not broached about John Cena. What do you think he's going to be like as a heel? Because it's not going to be the Doctor of Thugonomics. Is he gonna be like that pseudo Homelander looking guy in the ring the other night that just doesn't talk and makes faceless expressions?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I've seen a lot of people. I'm glad you brought that up. I've seen a lot of people, it's like on TikTok and X and everything, be like, "Oh, I can't wait for Thugonomics Cena to come back." And I've told a lot of people, no, like Chris just, it doesn't fit. And I've told everybody, it's not going to be that, because he has to create something new, just like The Rock. The final boss is not the same as Nation of Domination Rock. Like, there are seeds that you can connect between that Rock and the final boss Rock, because it is the same guy. So there's a long-term seed there, but the final boss stands alone as a Rock character. I think this Cena is going to be it's going to be unlike any Cena we've ever seen. It is going to stand alone as its own thing.
It'll be interesting, though. It'll be interesting because the really, really great ones, and I mean the really, really great ones as far as like characters, like The Rock, have
the great one
been able to take their character and always evolve. Another guy that doesn't probably get enough credit for it, and I'm not trying to get a rise out of Payton. Kane is a guy that was able to do that.
My God, it's Kane!
He was a guy that was able to You should have never been able to take a masked character that doesn't talk and spread it out over 25 years.
No. Remember, he had to talk with the voice box. My name is Kane.
Yes.
Like, going from that to where he ended up. You talk it, JJ. You bring up a great point. Kane and another guy that I throw out there is Chris Jericho. Those guys always found ways to reinvent themselves. Edge is another one.
Edge is a good one.
The Undertaker is another one. I mean, the Undertaker was around for a very long time.
I'm not an AEW guy, but Christian is another one. What Christian's been able to do in AEW to generate heat at like 50 years old as almost an afterthought. Come on.
Kyle, you're the John Cena guy. What do you want to see him be like in this heel
I'll tell
run?
you. So the next scheduled appearance that we are getting from John Cena is over in Belgium on March 17th. I'm sorry. Yeah, March 17th. I was forgetting where we were for a second. March 17th. Now, the reason why I say that, because 20 years ago on March 17th, back in 2005, John Cena released The Time Is Now. You think about this. Here's another reason why Travis Scott is involved in the whole mix. JJ brought it up earlier. Not only is he the new intro theme to WrestleMania, passing the weekend finally, his run has ended. Travis Scott now is the new WrestleMania theme with Payne. Travis Scott and John Cena, they're going to go into the booth, fellas. John Cena is going to knock off the rust, and he's going to resurrect a brand new heel entrance theme that will debut on March 17th, 2025. 20 years on the day that he released The Time Is Now. So we're going to get a brand new heel entrance theme. And I listened to Chris Van Vliet, Insight with Chris Van Vliet, friend of the WellsMania podcast. And he did an interview with John Cena, and I'm sure you guys have seen it. But Cena originally, back in 2012, when he was supposed to go heel, he did record a brand new heel theme song called Fear My Name. And it's funny because you listen to Cena talk about it, and he's like, well, we were going to release it. I recorded it with saxophones. If I could go back and redo it, I would put trumpets over the saxophones. No, John, I want to hear the sax, man. I'm a sucker for sax, and I want to hear the saxophones of Fear My Name. Unfortunately,
new gear with that too. New gear.
Yeah, that's where I was leading into. So we're going to get a new heel theme song with Travis Scott and John Cena, which I'm very, very excited for. And JJ, you bring up a great point. What colors are the Oakland Raiders?
Silver and black.
Silver and black. So there is going to be the new color scheme for John Cena, because it ties into getting away from the Fruity Pebbles colors. So now you got Cena wearing black and silver, which are very heel colors. And the question is, does he bring back the black jorts? I mean, he wore the black jorts when he was a face, but now you got to think, man, he's going to change up his whole look. And then I would not be surprised if he shaved his head.
He needs.
But in that same interview you're talking about the music, he also mentioned that he'd had totally new gear ramped up for that too.
Yeah, the singlets with the boxing robes, which I can't see this version of John Cena in a singlet. Yes, maybe
no. But
maybe the 2012 version.
The shorts.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah,
but it does make you wonder, like, what's he gonna wrestle in? You know, what are Payton said this earlier? What are his promos gonna sound like?
And that's what I was gonna bring up.
Maybe he dresses like what's his
Peacemaker?
Peacemaker. I said pacemaker, but yeah, maybe he dresses like pacemaker.
I'm sure Kyle watched it because John was on there. But when he was on Total Divas, or Total Bells, whichever one it was, remember how big of an asshole he was to everybody that came into his house?
Yeah, well, and you know what, you bring that up. He was a heel then.
You don't see him without his suit on from now on, unless he's in the ring, and he just talks down to people like everybody's fucking stupid.
Well,
and like he did to them in the house.
And that's kind of what I wanted to get into is
go for it, Payton.
Beyond the look and the theme and everything, what kind of like character is he actually going to play as this?
He's going to be an asshole.
Yes, but like, what is his motivation? Like, is his motivation going to be as simple as, oh well, I want number 17 and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there?
That's exactly what it is.
What else could there be?
But
yeah, why not?
But again, we're talking, I feel like it needs to be deeper than that, because you're talking about a guy that for 20 years preach hustle, loyalty, respect, has the most make-a-wishes in the history of the foundation. Like, what drove him to be like, you know what? Screw all the kids, screw hustle, loyalty, respect. I'm in it for me now. Like, what made him go that route?
The last time is now.
By any means necessary.
So,
I mean,
so
the
story
more military.
Yeah. So, but is that going to just see? Because I think he needs to lean. Like CM Punk had a great line this week on Monday Night Raw, where his exact wording was, you know, you've shown these people exactly what I've known for 20 years, and that's you've been selling these people and all these kids nothing but bullshit. So
but that's
CM
exactly
Punk,
what.
Yeah,
that's exactly
Punk
what
called it out.
An asshole though would, like he's talking about from the Total Divas. That's what some dickhead
would
do.
So is that
all
what is
front? It's all been fake.
But yes, is John going to lean into that and be like, you know what? I was a liar for 20 years. I never believed in any of this stuff. You guys are a bunch of idiots. Are we going to go that far with it? Or is he going to play the mighty hero that lost his way and just doesn't believe in it? Like, is it going to be, no, I pulled the wool over your guys' eyes for 2 decades? Or is it going to be the hero that did believe it, but then just fell off?
That's too gimmicky, being the hero. Pull it back and say, look, I got you guys.
I fooled you for 20 years.
For the last 20, I've had you eating out of right here. You've done everything I've said, like sheep.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to show you who
and
I
all
really
I had.
am.
All I had to do was go visit some cancer kids to make you guys believe it. Like, how hardcore is he going to get with it?
Well,
they've already copyrighted Break-A-Wish. I saw
WWE ready to say that exact same thing.
Filed for the trademark Break-A-Wish.
Payton, buying that
bring up, that might be one of his new merch right there. Break-A-Wish.
God, I hope so.
I'd buy that shirt.
You bring up CM Punk's promo this past Monday night on Raw. We are 4 authentic bald dudes. We are not bald frauds. So I'm not gonna lie, I laughed. I literally laughed out loud when CM Punk called The Rock and John Cena 2 bald frauds. Because to me, and this is why I said, don't be surprised if Cena comes back with a shaved head, because he has finally embraced the being bald. And
he's going to shed the skin.
I think it fits that gimmick very well for him. And I think we're going to get a ruthless aggression times 10 with John Cena on this heel run. I don't think he's going to downplay all the stuff that he's done in the past. He's not you think about it like that, like he's not going to tarnish all of that, the legacy that he's left behind, but he's going to show another side to him that we've never seen, but the fans have wanted for 2 decades. And Chris brought up Total Bellas earlier. I actually was showing Ashley, my fiance, clips of John Cena's House Rules, and she looked at me and she goes, thank God you're not like that, because I couldn't live with you if you had house rules like that. And
that shit was crazy.
Obviously, that pretty much and a lot of other things led to Cena and Nikki Bella splitting up.
But I will be honest, I've never watched Total Divas. What were some of the house rules?
After dinner, it was mandatory. The guys went to the cigar lounge, and the girls went to the little winery off the side of the house, and they had to have alone time. You had to take your shoes off before you walked in the house.
I was just about to say the shoes had to come off.
The if I remember right, wasn't because Bree and Daniel already had their oldest kid, and the kid was not allowed in the house. They had to keep her out in the guest house.
So he's just crazy.
Yeah.
He's a savage.
It's not that he's crazy. He's just very controlling. And I feel like this version of John Cena is going to be very controlling. Like, he's going to admit literally all the things that fans have been saying about him for the past 2 decades, but he's not going to disagree with it. Like, he's going to use it to his advantage.
To me, what makes it better now than it would have made it 10 years ago is he's seasoned with Hollywood as an actor. He's when he first started, I didn't think he was that bad with the Marine, but he's actually done some really good things. He's got some range. Somebody made an interesting point. They said when he made that face the other night, he looked like a disgruntled cop that had been on the beat for way too long. And I started thinking to myself, and I'm speaking from experience, I was a police officer, but I've watched a lot of cop movies over the years, and I started thinking, what if he's like every just sadistic police detective movie rolled up into one? Like, what if he's like Denzel Washington in Training Day meets Harvey Keitel in Bad Lieutenant meets Colin Farrell in True Detective? Like, put all those together, and he's just this somewhat just sadistic, vengeful, spiteful piece of shit that
slime.
What if he goes that route? You still get the asshole factor, but now you're just like, oh, this guy literally would have just shit on me anyway, and I just didn't know it. For 20 years, this guy would have just killed me and not hit me, but okay, whatever. Now the cat's out of the bag.
I like that. I didn't think about the hybrid of all those characters coming into one. So that'd be a really fun version of John Cena, because going back to what Payton said, what led Cena to do this? And I said the last time is now is what led Cena to do this. It's now or never, because Cena could never turn heel because there was nobody on the magnitude back then that could replace Cena. I mean, Cena, the sales, the merch sales, the Make-A-Wish, there wasn't anybody else out there on the WWE roster that it even came close to being able to do what John was doing. So when John stepped away, we still didn't really have that successor to John Cena's face throne. Cody Rhodes then comes along, and then Cody became the successor. And then obviously Vince McMahon stepped away and Triple H took over. And I think Triple H realized, oh, we got something here with Cody. Yeah, he could be our new Cena. So, because John, Triple H, Cody, and The Rock, they were the only 4 people that knew that John Cena was turning heel at Elimination Chamber. Nobody else knew except for those 4 guys. So, well, and obviously Travis Scott, but he doesn't really count. But you think about that. Finally, John Cena probably sat down and said, you know what? The time is now. Everybody's wanted it for 2 decades, wasn't able to do it. The time wasn't right, but the time is right now. Let's do it. Why the hell not? We've got literally nothing to lose, but everything to gain. And I feel like had Cena turned heel back when everybody else wanted him to, it would have phased. Like he would have eventually gone back to being a face. But now that Cena has turned heel in 2025, doing the unthinkable, the unimaginable, we are about to get one of, like Payton said earlier, the final boss Rock version, one of the best versions of the Rock. We are about to get one of the best versions of John Cena in 2025 that we have ever seen.
And you know what? I can't wait. Like, imagine the promos that we're going to get with the final boss and heel John Cena in the ring at the same time. Like, because they can both talk, and we know when Cena wants to be cutthroat on the mic, he can. I mean, he's ruined people's careers. I mean, Austin Theory is a great example of that. The kid still has not recovered from that promo leading into WrestleMania 39. So imagine final boss and heel Cena on the same team cutting promos against people. It's going to be magic.
Good luck. I mean, who
Punk. The only person would be Punk. The only person,
Punk.
The only person I think that could hold a candle to it would be Punk.
Yeah, and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I mean, yes, Cody, but let's be Cody's promos
Cody's
are not what
soft.
makes him exciting.
Well, I mean, Cody dropped the F-bomb on Peacock.
He did, but his average promo is not what people love about him.
No, he's soft.
And he's supposed to be, because he's the top baby face of the company, and you don't want the baby face going around and being aggressive. But he got pushed. He got so far pushed at Elimination Chamber that enough was enough. And I feel like he thought that he had backup. So I feel like Cody was like, okay, I'm gonna tell off The Rock because I got Cena behind here. So if The Rock tries something on me, I've got John here and we go 2-on-1, you know?
Here's a question.
Boy, was he wrong.
Let's talk about the F-bomb for a minute. Has there ever been in WWE history that blatant of a fuck dropped on WWE? Like, I know that people have said it.
Did you say WWT?
No, I said WWE.
Oh, I thought you said WWT.
Has there ever been that blatant of one said before? Like, I know people have said it, but it's always been very kind of like, you feel like it's thrown into the promo, like it really wasn't supposed to be there. You know, I mean, this was like, you could tell this was a planned, scripted, major line that they knew was coming and chose not to bleep it. Has that ever happened before?
I kind of think they were just building the moment a little bit more with it, for sure.
Yeah, but like, has that ever happened in WWE history before?
No, it's always been the same kind of thing, but to a lesser magnitude. Like, it's always meant to be thrown out there as like, oh my God, this is so serious. I can't believe it. It's got to be real. You said the F word.
Yeah. Like, this was like, we're going to say it.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody in the past who has blatantly just said it just right in front of our faces like Cody did. I literally am trying to think, and I can't think of anybody that has done, besides The Rock.
Yeah.
But other than
they've edited all those.
The only line I can think of would be but again, they bleeped it, and knowing The Rock, it wasn't a planned line. He just threw it in there, is going into WrestleMania last year when they had that unbelievable beatdown in the rain segment, you know?
Yeah.
And he had Cody like face to face with him, and Cody's bleeding. He goes, "This is what happens when you fuck with the final boss."
Yep.
Like, that line, maybe, but again, we don't know if that line was planned or if The Rock just thought, I'm gonna say it.
Even if it was planned, it was still on USA,
and
so
they still
had to edit it.
Yeah,
like, this was non-bleeped. It wasn't even bleeped on the YouTube page, or like they didn't bleep it anyway.
They're letting it eat. Yeah, they're not editing it at all.
And they shouldn't, because I feel like it would take away from the magnitude of what that led to. Because when Cody Rhodes said that, nobody was expecting John Cena to turn heel. Everybody thought, oh my God, I can't believe Cody Rhodes just stood up to The Rock and said that.
Yeah.
And then
what's funny though is when The Rock comes out with Travis Scott, he looks at Travis Scott and says fuck.
Yeah,
but they edit it there.
They did.
Yeah.
No, I go back to what I said earlier. Maybe it's because I've watched it forever and I just have no expectations left. Like it's all like nothing surprises me anymore. I kind of hate that sometimes. Actually, I'll tell you what did surprise me was IYO SKY beating Rhea Ripley Monday night.
Oh, we're about to go into that.
Let's talk about that because that shocked
surprised
me.
But when he told him to go fuck himself, I literally sat there. I did, and you could call me a liar, but you know, one thing about me is I tell it like it is. I sat there and I said, watch it be Cena instead.
Yeah.
And I knew, like, he was just standing there with that goofy look on his face, like, oh, look at Cody. And I was like,
he's back there fist bumping, and he's
still
back
like,
there jumping
I was
around.
like, all along, like, just going back to Wrestling 101, I was like, that's the whole, he's getting ready, you know.
I'm
like
glad
Seth
you
Rollins,
brought...
when he was like all hyped up and then he backs up with the chair. You're like, what's he getting ready to do? You know what he's getting ready to do.
Well, you
like,
know
you
what's
heard
funny?
it. Like as soon as he hugged him, everybody was like, oh.
You have to wonder, like storyline wise, how long has Cena sold his soul to The Rock? Because you bring up the fact that Cena is like super just over dramatic in all of like what he was doing with the fist pumps and and the even going back to the Royal Rumble, you know, the facial expressions he was making was like way more goofy than he usually is. You know what I mean?
They have creative, like they have carte blanche now to tell a story of like how long this has been in the mix.
Yeah.
But real quick, before we switch gears, if the WWE wanted to make a ton of money off a simple but home run hitter type shirt, all they need to do is take a black shirt and put this picture.
The Cena face? Yeah.
Just like that. Grayed out. Just like that. That monochrome.
I think you might
if they don't do it, you should do
JJ. It. Well, yeah. I mean, put it on brainbustertees.com and I'll sell it myself. Sure.
Yeah. Why not? It's just a picture that you took from a TV. There's no copyright.
But I absolutely love that we have gone about an hour on episode 165 of WellsMania Podcast talking about the John Cena heel turn. And now we are going to get to something that has been bothering Payton, something that has been frustrating Payton, something that has been angering Payton all week. And that was Rhea Ripley dropping the women's world title to IYO SKY this past Monday night on Raw. So, Payton, without further ado, the mic is all yours, brother.
Look, this was fucking horrible, to put it lightly. Okay, it was awful.
To put it lightly,
I'm not necessarily mad at the outcome of the match. I understand IYO, they're obviously heading towards a triple threat match. IYO winning the title is not what upset me. What upset me was the pure dog shit booking that accompanied it, of how it happened. This segment did absolutely nothing but make Rhea Ripley look like a total fucking moron. Like, she jumps out of the ring for no reason whatsoever to get in an argument with Bianca Belair, who up to that point has done nothing to incite Rhea Ripley in this match. Then she stands out there and argues with her for like 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Then it goes into a physical altercation, which for some reason doesn't cause a disqualification. And this is a title match. Not only is it a title match, but it's the final title match on your road to WrestleMania. The winner of this match goes to the World Championship match at the Showcase of the Immortals. And you're going to get out of the ring like a fucking rookie that doesn't know what they're doing to get into an insult contest with Bianca Belair. It made Rhea look like an idiot.
Now, keep in mind, Bianca Belair won the Elimination Chamber this past weekend. And also, we haven't even touched on Jade Cargill returning and beating the hell out of Naomi.
Doing the right thing.
Yes, because we've been saying on WellsMania Podcast 4 months now that it was Naomi who took out Jade Cargill, and I'm pretty sure Jade Cargill listens to WellsMania Podcast, and she decided that enough was enough. But what a fire way to kick off Elimination Chamber.
I don't think Jade Cargill, I don't think she has anything to do with Bianca Belair. I really don't. People can say, oh, Bianca didn't do it. It makes no sense. Bianca had nothing to do with it. I don't think it's going to be revealed she had anything to do with it. This is something totally separate from that.
Now, I will say Bianca Belair did do a phenomenal job selling in the pod when Jade Cargill was beating the hell out of Naomi, because Bianca couldn't get out of her pod. No. She couldn't do anything about it, so she had to literally watch her friend get her ass kicked by Jade.
But as far as this segment goes, I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong in stating that all this did was make Rhea look like a moron?
It was weird seeing her act that way.
That's where I was going with it, because I wanted to not forget about Jade and Naomi, but Bianca won the chamber, thus is why she was sitting outside the ring at ringside for IYO SKY versus Rhea Ripley. And yes,
and that's fine, but like, she didn't incite anything for Rhea Ripley to get out there and start that argument with her, distracting her to the level that she did to lose the match. And why would Rhea Ripley, who's the world champion, who should be smarter than that, do that in the match that is going to determine if you go to WrestleMania or not?
And it was very surprising too. Like, I was not expecting Rhea Ripley to drop the title to IYO SKY. Now, Payton and I, we said this on last episode of WellsMania Podcast. The money match is world champion Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. But now, unfortunately, we are not getting that match at WrestleMania, which is why I was so shocked and surprised to see Rhea drop the title. I'm not discrediting IYO SKY. I think IYO SKY has been doing a phenomenal job over the past year. I know a lot of people thought that she was going to win the Women's Royal Rumble until Charlotte Flair came back. But now you have IYO SKY as the women's world champion heading into WrestleMania to take on Bianca Belair. I mean, I got swerved there, fellas. I'm not going to lie. I did not think that Rhea was going to drop the title. And like Payton said, the way that Rhea did it, it just felt off. It just felt odd. But here is something that has made me bring it all full circle. Okay, Rhea Ripley has never been able to beat IYO SKY in singles competition. So when I found that out, I was like, okay, that makes sense why IYO SKY beat Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley has never beaten Bianca Belair on the main roster.
Okay, but even
so
still,
now you have Rhea Ripley. She's obviously going to have her rematch clause at WrestleMania 41, thus making this a triple threat match. So to right those two wrongs, Rhea Ripley has an opportunity to beat IYO SKY and Bianca Belair for the first time on the main roster in her career in the same night, in the same match, to reclaim the WWE Women's World title. So that is how I have made sense, Payton, of all of this.
Well, I get it. I go ahead.
What they call that, and I think that's what you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think this is what you call a redemption arc. Where was Rhea Ripley really going outside of just being a dominant champion? What story are they telling?
It's a good point.
Win the belt, and she can hold on to it for a while, and she's really tough and badass. Rhea Ripley is my favorite women's wrestler on the roster, so I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying that sometimes you shake things up, refresh. You know, you give it a little.
Gotta have a hard reset.
Like I said, I wasn't upset at the outcome. I have no problem with IYO winning the title. The part that bothered me was the method in which it was done, because I think it made Rhea look like an idiot. That's my biggest problem with the booking of it. I think, and even again, what I was going to say is she's never beaten IYO SKY. All right. Well, that adds even further to making her look like an idiot. You've never beaten IYO SKY. Why are you outside the ring arguing with Bianca Belair, wasting your time when you're facing someone that has always had your number and the main event of WrestleMania is on the line? You're supposed to be smarter than this. You're the champion.
But I think
she's human though.
Her post-interview plants the seeds for telling exactly that story.
Yep.
You took your eye off the ball. You got cocky. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. All those little like vibes that she gave out and seemingly sounding broken at the same time. You can only go one of two ways in the world of wrestling with it. You either snap and you go like full heel, or you rebuild, reclaim, and rise above.
Redesign, rebuild, and reclaim. I've heard that before.
See, but like on the flip side of things, part of me feels like this is just a way to give Bianca Belair the title at WrestleMania by having her pin IYO so Rhea doesn't have to eat a pinfall.
I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that the Jade Cargill thing comes up and bites Bianca Belair in the butt at WrestleMania.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I think maybe it was a response to his tweet, but I have been on the kick the whole time that Bianca Belair was behind this whole thing, whether she masterminded it or whether she did it herself. I don't really know how Naomi ties into it unless she's just like an accomplice.
She's an accomplice.
I mean, maybe she had to pay for the sin, so to speak, because she couldn't get to Bianca Belair.
She had to sell her soul to Bianca Belair.
See,
like
I
Jade
just don't
couldn't get to Bianca, so she beat the brakes off of Naomi to make her realize, like, hey, this would have been you, and it would have been worse. You're lucky you were hiding behind that glass, but I'm coming for you.
Here's why I don't think it makes sense that Bianca did it or was behind it. Because the night that it happened, Bianca Belair was in a triple threat tournament match to crown the first ever women's United States champion. Okay. It's revealed on the Titantron that Jade was attacked in the parking lot, which caused Bianca to leave that match willingly and costing herself the chance to become the first ever United States champion.
You got to make it look real though, Payton.
But but here's the thing. What was the goal?
If you're Bianca Belair, that's one of the top names, and you've already been a multi-time world champion, do you really give that much of a crap about the U.S. title?
But okay,
no, it's beneath her.
But
exactly,
two things though. Now, two things. One, you're immediately burying that championship before it ever even gets going.
If they paint it that way, but they may not paint it that way. They'll ease into painting it that way.
Two, though, here's the other one. If that was the case, well, she really didn't she attacked Jade, okay, but then what was the goal? To become a singles star again because she thinks she's above the United States title? So then why the hell would she not be above the tag titles, which are the most irrelevant titles in the company?
Because
all she did was
out of her.
To what? Bring in Naomi, who's even less lackluster than Jade is?
No, I know. I said
Bianca gained nothing from it.
I said I see where you're looking at it, but I think you're looking at it from the opposite angle I am. So let me paint mine. I said this to my wife when Jade Cargill came aboard, and then when they put them together. The way she's portrayed in AEW is kind of similar to the same. She's a real dominant powerhouse, unstoppable looking force lady, and she has to have the spotlight shine down on her. You can't put her and Bianca together because they're almost two of the same. So when they first did it, I honestly thought I was like, eventually Jade's going to get spiteful and jealous and cut Bianca out like cancer. I mean, that's just simply the way to say it. Like, she'll get spiteful, she'll get envious, she'll get jealous. I was talking about the wrong person, but for the same things. It's not Jade that's doing it. It's Bianca that's doing it. Bianca is jealous. She's the EST, right? I'm the best. I'm the strongest. I'm the baddest. I'm the most estest. No, you're not. Because Jade Cargill literally is a walking incarnation of everything that you say that you are. She's faster than you. She's stronger than you. She's bigger than you. She's badder than you. That's factual. I don't. If we're talking real semantics, she's clearly not a better wrestler. But
and she doesn't have to be.
She doesn't have to be. And if you sell it from that angle, it's just going to be simply a very nice drawn out version of Bianca was catty and jealous and came up with a nice way to try and get Jade out of the picture, and Jade came back. Surprise. And I think Jade's going to get her come up and set WrestleMania if it plays out with the triple threat. If that's like the clear picture that everybody sees, Bianca is, I don't know how for sure, but that somehow Jade's getting her out of that.
Yeah.
Whether she costs her the belt right there in the middle of the moment, or she takes her out beforehand and it ends up being a singles match rematch, something. Bianca's not winning that belt, not without Jade having her 2 cents involved.
And JJ, circling back to what you said about Rhea Ripley's been so dominant that she needs somebody to be a credible threat. And I feel like that is going to be Jade Cargill. And once Rhea Ripley beats Bianca and IYO at WrestleMania and she's back on top, because we all know that mommy is always on top, Jade Cargill is going to be like, that's because you've never gone up against me. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like we're going to get Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley in a feud. And I'm telling you right now, that is going to be a lot of fun to watch, because I love the way that Jade Cargill has been booked and brought in. Triple H has been taking his time with Jade Cargill. She's been training. She's been learning. She's been mentoring. She's been learning. And she is, I feel like they're thinking that she might be ready to go solo. And that is why we've got Jade now attacking Naomi, which is thus going to result in Jade and Bianca going their separate ways.
Even just like go back to like The Rock and how do you paint the picture, right? What did Bianca and Naomi both come out wearing in the Elimination Chamber? Their tag team, they both came out wearing white gear, right?
Yeah. Yep.
White, holier than thou, saintly, clean, innocent. And Jade came out looking like a dominatrix wearing midnight black.
And she had the West Borland. She had the West Borland
and had the hair down. It wasn't like put together. It was just like straight wet, coming through the rain, the storm. Like the whole thing is telling you, like, hey, this is a bad bitch and she's back. Now you done screwed up. And to be honest, as much as it seemed like a good idea at the time, and it had its run, them being a tag team was about as stale as bread that got left open for a few days. Like,
you're not going to get any pushback from any of us here. We all agree.
Like, it was
it's not even the whole division. The whole division is that stale.
The whole division is a train wreck. But to have them to have these two athletes, these two caliber people, like just sitting there together as this team with doing nothing but, this week we'll be on NXT. Check us out. Who gives a rat's ass?
They're going to beat everybody.
Beat the shit out of each other. I'd rather see that.
Exactly. It's because they had no opponents. That tag division is pointless.
Yeah.
Those, you want to talk about stale, those titles have, at this point, the maggots have eaten every piece of bread that's available with those titles. Those titles should be thrown in the trash and lit on fire. They're awful.
Speaking of the women's tag team titles, Raquel Rodriguez is a 4-time women's tag team champion. If that tells you anything about the women's tag team titles,
how is she
Raquel Rodriguez is a 4-time
champion? Is she immune?
It's 3 with Liv.
It 1 with Aaliyah.
Yeah, I forgot about.
Remember Aaliyah?
Another worthless wrestler.
Almost every person those titles have touched has ruined at least one half of the careers of the teams.
Speaking, this is a good way to get away from the curse of the tag team titles. Speaking of people that are touched, how about your boy Karrion Kross? Every person that he seems to touch kind of then changes.
They shift,
man. Like,
and people are just now starting to pick up on it.
like he did it with the New Day. He did it with AJ Styles.
He's done it with everybody. The first person he targeted was Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, he did it with Drew McIntyre. So I just wanted to say that I really love what they're telling with Karrion Kross, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Now, how's it going to change Sami Zayn?
Exactly.
Because Sami is his new target.
Hopefully for the better, because I can't stand Sami Zayn. He's just
somebody
boring
pointed out again how they paint like WWE is the king of what AEW clearly doesn't have, which is something called production meetings.
You think
if they had production meetings, they would have known, for example, not to cut to the cameras while the guy, what was it, Christopher Daniels? Was still actively trying to blade himself while
Did you see that video, Kyle?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Dude. Or if you can,
when
pull it up.
The girl, I don't know if she had just made her. I don't follow AEW enough anymore, but some girl was in the ring with another girl, and Thunder Rosa comes out with a chair, and instead of clearing the ring, they all three just kind of stand there like they forgot what the fuck they're supposed to do.
No, it's awful. Yeah, no, Kyle, look up the video. Christopher Daniels, there's a clear shot of him blading his head.
Wow.
And it's just like, what are we doing here?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's doing the old traditional.
Yeah.
So he's going like this, and clearly they're trying to get him to do that before they cut to the camera where they would show him like, oh my God, look, he's busted open. They were about 5 seconds too early.
Speaking of people who are notoriously known for bleeding, did you guys see the tweet that Ric Flair put out?
Jesus, yes, unfortunately.
I just want to read this. I just want to read this to you guys, and then you can give me your thoughts on this. So this was obviously Ric Flair's reaction to John Cena turning heel. It's been 25 years since I won my last 16th World Championship, according to the WWE. Blood, sweat, and tears. Harley Race, Bruiser Brody, Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes, Bret Hart, Undertaker, Ricky Steamboat. The list is endless of world-class opponents, unparalleled. My 1984 schedule has actually been called impossible to perform. 60 and 90-minute matches. Let's get serious. John Cena, I love you and respect you, but you ain't taking nothing from Cody Rhodes. If I have to fight my way through security to hit the ring, I will. I'll take the day off of blood thinners. Let's effing go. Let's do this.
Please.
Jesus.
If there is a God, he will allow Ric Flair to come to the ring at WrestleMania just so The Rock can beat the shit out of him.
Oh man.
I will if it's announced that Ric Flair is going to be in Cody's corner and The Rock is going to be in Cena's corner, I will buy a ticket to WrestleMania Night 2 just so I can see The Rock whip Ric Flair with a weight belt.
Man,
kill him.
I'm kind of glad that Ric Flair is voicing up, because I had a feeling that it was only a matter of time before Nate was going to be genuinely scared that, oh my God, now Cena's in a position where he legitimately could break my record. And the ego that Ric Flair has, he doesn't want to see that. He wants Cena and him to be tied. The only person that I think Ric Flair wants to see break his record would be Charlotte Flair. But
he said that. He said that he wants his daughter to be it, and he's named Randy Orton probably as number 2 as far as guys go. But
exactly, which makes sense because Randy and Rick were in Evolution together, so I get it.
Yeah,
I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
Right off into the sun. Well, how old is he now?
1,000.
I think he's 72.
I don't know.
72 going on 106? What the?
The fact that Ric Flair is still alive scientists need to do studies on the Nature Boy.
Maybe he won't be after the final boss gets his hands on him.
I'm sorry.
He's
76 years old. I just double checked. He's 76 years old.
Put him in the ring. February of 1949.
He was born in 1949. Wow. It's 2025. It's just wild to me. That the Nature Boy's out here. He's doing what he does best.
Let's be real. Do we honestly think that's going to lead somewhere? Or do you think that's just him putting out a tweet trying to get some attention on himself?
It's just him trying to be relevant.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did get brought in somewhere on the road to WrestleMania. Like maybe to plead with John, you don't want to do this. You don't want to sell your soul to The Rock. Come back to being a good guy.
Slaps the shit out of him.
It has to be The Rock. I'm sorry. The Rock needs to weight belt, just destroy Ric Flair.
He'll rip every.
I don't think they will though. Like legitimately, like I think Flair's like demented. Like there's too many things where he's like he goes off the rails and says things he's not supposed. Didn't he get in a fight with somebody at a bar recently or something?
Probably.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me.
He's like, as much as people hate to see Hogan get drug out there because of the racial stuff and things, and I grew up just as much as anybody else loving Hogan. It's like it's time to put it to bed. Like, don't drag Ric Flair out there, and he's. I mean, he might go full Scott Steiner and just go unhinged on some rant. Like, and then you make everything look bad because you've got this demented old man out there just spewing whatever comes to his mind because I don't know if he's on blow or blood thinners or whatever, both.
I mean,
both.
Ric Flair could potentially join Cody Rhodes in that dream tag team match against The Rock and John Cena.
Maybe
I'd rather see Dusty Rhodes come back and join him than Ric Flair.
Well, that is not going to happen.
Maybe Flair's the third man.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
Man. Real quick, I know we're getting close to the end here. This has been a phenomenal episode, by the way. I've really enjoyed this conversation. We were supposed to go live. So I do apologize for everybody who was expecting us to go live. We're not ruling it out. We are not ruling it out. Just on short notice, we decided not to go live, and we got this episode for you on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Now, Squared Circle Expo is coming, fellas. And JJ, do you plan on attending Squared Circle Expo?
I plan on being there.
Well, I hope so, because do you want to know the latest guest that Squared Circle Expo has announced?
Hit it. Do it.
Eric Bischoff, baby. Eric
Bischoff.
Yeah,
I knew that. It's the Warrior Wrestling guys are bringing it back again.
Yes, and if you remember, I was interviewing Wheezy Blonde last year at Squared Circle Expo 4.
Who's Wheezy Blonde?
Oh, don't even. How do you not know who Wheezy Blonde is? She's a wrestling content creator.
She's a streamer for wrestling.
That's exactly why I don't pay attention to relevant people.
That's true. You're out in the sticks. I get it. Wheezy Blonde.
I live in Franklin. I'm 5 minutes away from you.
Wheezy Blonde is one of the bigger names in the wrestling content community. And just do yourself a favor, do you some homework, go on social media, type her in. You can't miss her. So I'm interviewing her.
Doing that.
Don't. You got better shit to do, brother.
I'm interviewing her.
That is a content creator and whatever they are is the best. I'm the best guy at cooking green beans on TikTok.
Well, I would watch because I love green beans. But anyways,
I watch you because you're the most underrated.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm interviewing her at Squared Circle Expo 4. And all of a sudden, Eric Bischoff crashes our interview. So
I remember that. Yes, I do remember that part.
So I decided, okay, I'm gonna shoot my shot here. I decided to tweet the news that Eric Bischoff is coming back and he's better than ever. And I put that out on Twitter. Eric Bischoff quote tweets my tweet and says, "Looking forward to it. See you there." So I'm going to get an interview with Eric Bischoff at Squared Circle Expo 5. I cannot wait. I just wanted to throw that out there because we love supporting Squared Circle Expo. I know Ed Gonzalez loves when we promote Squared Circle Expo. We're going to have Ed on probably the week after I come back from Vegas because the following weekend is Squared Circle Expo 5. So, man, going from WrestleMania 41, which I will be out there in Las Vegas, and then the following weekend is Squared Circle Expo 5. April is going to be madness.
You're welcome to my world. I had to deal with that the last 2 years.
I will say that Bischoff is probably a good interview. I have said, I think me and Payton had this talk. What was it, last year, or the year before that, when we saw him?
Yeah.
What a mind to try and get involved with or pick his brain. Like, people give Eric Bischoff so much crap, and it's like, I look at it from a real perspective of, you can say whatever you want and you can have your opinion all you want. But a lot of people that say this weren't even around for that. So all this shit that they get to watch on TV and experience and have fun with and get to have their opinion on whether they think it's shit or not, they wouldn't even have that if it wasn't for a guy like him lighting the fuse. Yeah. Because he not only lit the fuse that blew WCW up into a legacy company and that's still talked about to this day, but he also lit the fire under Vince McMahon's ass to have to step his game up or he would go under. People do not realize
there's a certain title to his podcast, right?
83 weeks.
Yeah.
83
But
weeks.
outside of that thing, I mean, it really was like they were on the cusp. Vince McMahon was putting out Duke the Drumster Drosy and guys like that.
The Goon.
Mantar.
What he had, like 7 or 8 guys that were regular, and everybody else was a character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Character-driven wrestling's fun, but at the time, you're doing clowns versus trashmen, and Bischoff's blurring the lines between reality. And you wouldn't have had The Rock. You wouldn't have had Stone Cold Steve Austin. You wouldn't have had you certainly wouldn't have had Degeneration X.
Yeah.
No. You wouldn't have had the evolution of any of that crap that leads into all this stuff we have now.
And that is why I am really excited to, like you said, pick his brain, because I've got a lot of really fun things to talk to him about. Now, I don't know how much time I'm going to have with him, but I'm going to make the most of it when I do interview him. And I plan on interviewing a lot of the guests. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm going to be your support system to lift you up, just like we did with Buff Bagwell a couple years ago. I got your back.
Yes.
I'm there for you.
Yes, thank you.
Get that little bit of cold feet, you consider me like your human Xanax. I'm there to calm you down.
I wish appreciate that. Podcasts were easier to listen to. I hate the Conrad Thompson guy.
Oh yeah.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson.
Nobody likes Conrad.
I like Conrad.
The only reason he's relevant at all is because of who he married.
Now you got to be careful because
nobody
Conrad
could give
Thompson
a shit without him.
He is a friend of the WellsMania podcast, so I can't allow Conrad Thompson slander.
Go take a piss somewhere
on the show.
Who gives a shit?
Fucking
mortgage rates. Go piss off somewhere.
All right, so there's
a giant bag of shit.
There's the match that we need to book is the 5-foot giant Chris Engel versus hey, it's Conrad.
I mean,
Thompson
look
at the Smash Mouth Arena. Let's book it.
I'm not a fan of Conrad, but it sounds like there's some personal beef between
just
the 5-foot giant and Conrad Thompson.
Every podcast he's on. And he's on 8,000 of those.
Maybe we should.
Well, he's not on this one.
Let's get Conrad on here, and we could have a debate between Conrad.
That'd go over well.
And wait a minute. What? I know the guy.
I'd make him cry.
Like, what? He's a real estate agent that married one of Ric Flair's daughters.
Yeah.
Is that the backstory?
Yeah.
And so that gave him
he's married to Charlotte's sister.
Create a podcast and interview all these wrestlers.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't think that Ric Flair glad-handed some of those favors to get that off the ground, then you're crazy.
He's good at what he does.
Flair coattails for years.
He is good at what he does, though. I give props to Conrad Thompson.
I mean,
because he's one of the biggest names in this business.
What's
he good at? I don't mind listening to him.
I mean, what's he good at? All he does is get on podcasts with some of the most famous guys on the planet and rides off their stories and their people they can interview.
You need somebody, though, to be able to moderate with those guys, and that's what Conrad Thompson does.
Yeah. My issue with Conrad,
that. Who's the guy that does the ones with the Undertaker?
That guy's good.
Matt. He owns 9 Live Apparel.
Here's my issue.
Oh, wait a minute. The guy that is the co-host is the guy that owns 9 Line?
Yeah.
Oh shit! No wonder. I was like, "Who's this dork?"
Here's my issue.
He's a dorky.
Always a connection there, JJ.
My issue with Conrad is not necessarily him just being on the shows. It's like every time I listen to like 83 weeks, all he ever does is try to argue Eric Bischoff's points. Like, that's all he does the whole time, is he'll literally sit there. Like, Eric Bischoff will, talk about his opinions on AEW, and then Conrad will interrupt him and be like, "Oh, come on, Eric. You can't be real. You can't really believe that." It's like, dude, shut up. Like,
he is the IWC.
Like,
he's that
let Bischoff make his point. It's
just
Bischoff's
runs his mouth
show.
about nothing.
Chris, I am going to, after this episode,
I want the match now.
I am going to throw out the challenge to Conrad Thompson to come on WellsMania Podcast.
Do it
right here on StreamYard, because he also does his podcasts on StreamYard.
Good. Tell him to bring his big boy pants.
I will send him the invite.
No, wait a minute. Wait. You gotta keep it simple. You can't bring a guy on. Let's just say, for all intents and purposes, he says yes. He's gonna instantly jump off and get on here and just start getting cussed out.
Well, that's why
you bring him on here and you're like, "Hey, you fucking watermelon-sized headed fuck."
That's why you got. That's why you got me. That's why you got me, JJ. I'll keep the peace. I'll be the moderator.
Like, he seems like a pretty nice guy outside of like.
How about this?
Okay, who wouldn't take that? I mean, I would take that. Like, if I married Ric Flair's
all
daughter,
four of us would if we had the opportunity.
I'll one up Chris's challenge.
Give the guy his flowers. He's found a niche and it works.
Exactly.
Look, I ain't touching any of Flair's kids with Kyle's dick. All right, so no, I'm not taking that deal.
Chris is coming alive. Chris is coming alive here at the end of this episode.
We're getting to that. We're getting to that point where we can start going crazy. How about I'll up the challenge. Let's do this. Me and Chris versus Conrad and Sean Ross Sapp. Let's just make that match happen.
Deal done.
Yeah, you talk about beef. Payton and Sean Ross Sapp, they've got beef. But here's the thing: I like Sean Ross Sapp. I don't know why. Fine. I don't know why people hate on him so much. And I think
he comes across as like a guy that thinks he is better than everybody else.
I had the opportunity, JJ, to go
look at this guy,
be a part of the media at the Royal Rumble. And
I
mean, that's when he had hair. Wow.
But then he also thinks that he's like some kind of in my experience, people that look like this talk like he does, but then also think that there's some kind of badass. Like,
here's the
you better bring more guys, bud. There's real life and there's pretend.
He's so personable though, and I think a lot of people just see his image of what he puts out on social media. But I've had the opportunity on multiple occasions to hang out with him. He is nothing like the way he portrays himself to be on social media. On social media, he's a character. He's playing in to that heel role, and he does it very well. But JJ,
hold on. I'll finish it for you, because in my experiences, when I've met people like that, I'll be the first person to go, "Hey, I honestly thought you were a cocksucker. I take back what I said. I'm just going to let you know that I thought that, and I've said that, and I'm sorry."
Which I'm sure is not the first time that somebody has said that to him.
If we can get Conrad on here and he's a genuinely decent human, I'll say the same thing. But I don't think I'm going to have to say it.
This is the genius of pro wrestling. There's probably people right now sitting there going, "Wow, do they really hate? Does Stone Payne really hate Sean Ross Sapp? Are we blurring the line of reality? What is wrestling and what is not wrestling?"
There's one more guy that's worse than him. There's who's the guy that actually does wrestle some and has wrestled for Black Label Pro?
I don't know.
You got to give us more.
Come on. He's one of those journalists. I can't think of his name. It's not Brian Alvarez, because that's who I looked up.
Well, while you think of that, I have a question for Kyle. My beef is obviously with Sean Ross Sapp. Chris obviously has beef with Conrad Thompson. Kyle, this is the year of the heel. This is the year of your heel. So I'm putting you on the spot right now. There has to be someone out there in the Wrestleverse that you just don't like, and let it be known right here, right now. Rivalries create buzz, and buzz creates views. Who do you not like?
It should be Simon Miller, because he's still in your gimmick.
I don't know who that is.
I do know Simon Miller from
What Culture Wrestling.
And actually, it was Brian Alvarez I was thinking of. Brian Alvarez.
I think I know who it is, Kyle.
Who is
kind of mentioned
Simon? Who's Simon Miller?
Look him up.
He's the host of What Culture Wrestling.
What gimmick has he stole that is mine?
Just look him up. You'll see.
No, you got to tell me because I legit have no idea who this guy is. I know nothing.
Face.
I know nothing about him.
He's you without a beard.
Yeah, but
how's that stealing my gimmick? There's a lot of people that look like me.
I know who Kyle has beef with because he's mentioned him before.
But who is Simon Miller? I don't know who that is.
He's just the host of What Culture Wrestling. There's really nothing more we can get.
How do you not know What Culture Wrestling? It's like any YouTube video has that guy tied to it.
Simon. Okay, I got to go to Google now.
He was a wrestler at one point. He's a British dude. He's kind of big.
Simon Miller.
You know,
I don't know how you
know. Seen this guy.
Who's he got beef with?
Who
gets under his skin? Who gets under Mr. Go Happy's skin?
From what I've heard,
you know who he looks like?
Who?
He kind of looks like Dean Ambrose. Simon Miller.
A little bit. But
I legit have no idea who this guy is.
I'm gonna throw this name out there.
I've got beef with nobody.
You sure?
Yeah,
because
to answer your question,
I'm pretty sure in the past I've heard you say some things about Peter Rosenberg.
Oh, well, I don't have beef with Peter Rosenberg. I just called him out on his BS when he didn't know that Coco Beware is a WWE Hall of Famer. And I simply am sitting there watching, and he's talking to CM Punk, and he's like, we need to get Coco Beware in the WWE Hall of Fame. And I'm like, you dumbass, he's already in the WWE Hall of Fame. As a matter of fact, I interviewed Coco Beware at Squared Circle Expo 4, and I introduced him as WWE Hall of Famer Coco Beware. So, I mean, I wouldn't say I have beef with Peter Rosenberg. It just kind of blows my mind that you are on WWE television and you don't know that the person you're talking about is already in the WWE Hall of Fame. You just come off as a moron. And I'm like, how is he there and I'm here? Like, literally, what does Peter's Peason Rosenberger, Henry Rowan Gardner, what does this jabroni have that I don't?
See, it sounds to me like there's a little bit of beef.
I was going to say, you stoked the fire enough, Payton. It came out.
I started getting a little fired up when I couldn't say the jabroni's name. But no, I mean, I don't really have a beef with Peter Rosenberg. I just don't understand. Here's my thing. How does WWE choose these media personalities to come be a part of WWE? Like Sam Roberts, he's a goof. And then Peter Rosenberg, he's a jabroni. I'm better than both of those guys, but yet they are where they're at and I am here, which is another reason why I'm underrated, because I know for a fact that if I had the opportunity to meet Triple H and talk to Triple H, he would hire me right on the spot.
Well, luckily, Kyle, I know of a solution. All you have to do is sell your soul to The Rock.
How did I know that you were going to say that?
Just sell your soul to the final boss and the world will be yours.
You know, Payton, it's really funny you bring that up because everybody who knows me knows that I am the biggest John Cena fan of all time. My phone got blown up this past Saturday night after John Cena turned heel. Several people messaged me and said, are we now going to get a WellsMania heel run? Other people messaged me and said, are we now going to get a Mega Mondo heel run? And the answer is never say never. And I'll leave it at that.
I think it's possible. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, we're at the very end here of episode 165 of WellsMania Podcast. I think we pretty much covered everything that we wanted to cover and some. So is there anything else, JJ, Payton, Chris, that you guys want to get out there?
I won't be in Las Vegas, but if you're out in Vegas and you meet Triple H, I would say, of all people, you should shoot your shot. I would not let that be the
Definitely.
moment where I kind of second guess myself and go, oh, well, I want to, but and
No,
you know
man,
what I'm talking about.
I don't second guess
That's-
myself. If I go up the
You
trip, if
better
I have
not
the
get cold
opportunity,
feet then and there. You better
No,
go
I-
up and
if I have
opportunity
the
doesn't knock.
opportunity to meet Triple H, I am shooting my shot right there on the spot. Because here's the thing. How many times have I met Triple H? 0. I've never had the opportunity to meet Triple H. So if I am given that opportunity to meet him, I'm not going to let that moment pass me by.
Oh, and for the record, that should apply to Shawn Michaels, the other guy, Nick Khan.
Oh yeah, anybody
And
in
maybe
brass.
find a list of anybody that's in brass.
Absolutely.
Anybody
Anybody
with
in
Find out where
brass.
the
That's who
brass
you're
is
talking to.
staying. The
Because-
brass is probably staying at the Bellagio, so you might want to start there.
All right.
Have you been to Vegas?
Yeah, I was out in Vegas in 2007, which was a long time ago. So
I've been
finally, I will be making my long-awaited return, not only to Vegas, but to WrestleMania as well.
Yeah, well, don't spend all your money.
No,
I do
we've
have
been
one
been
final
s-
thing.
we've been saving up for this trip for a while
That's what
now.
homeless
So.
people are out there. They're tourists that didn't have enough money to get back.
No, we got a flight to and from, so we're good. We'll be coming back. Yes, Payton.
This is just a fun little thing that I noticed. I've learned now with what The Rock wears to the ring, you can tell when some serious stuff's going to go down. The Rock, when he wears his Versace bell bottoms to the ring, that is his war attire. He wore the bell bottoms at WrestleMania last year on both night 1 and night 2. So you knew he was coming for a fight. He wore the bell bottoms at Elimination Chamber. So you knew he was coming to get physical. So when The Rock shows up in his Versace bell bottoms, you know that business is going down.
Hey,
So
The
you can
Rock
look-
is the only
you
guy
can-
that could pull that look off.
So
and
you
make
have
it look
to
tough.
start paying
If any
attention to
other-
what he's wearing to the ring.
If any
So
other
if-
man wore that shit, if an
I was just
NBA
about to
player
say-
was walking into the game in the pregame and was wearing some shit like that, you'd be like, "What are NBA players wearing these days?" Like, you'd be right there, like, "Oh my god, look at Miles Turner, he's dressed like."
Also,
But then the Rock wears that, you're like, "That's some badass shit."
the fact that is his war attire is just bell bottoms.
It's just a giant, just to whoever's in the ring.
Like when
With
he
that-
shows
The
up,
that-
Rock
you're
can
like,
do-
"Oh,
like flipped up. He looks like John Travolta and staying Saturday Night
It's his
Fever.
Elvis look.
Yeah, he's ready for Vegas. The Rock is
He's-
ready for Las
He
Vegas.
came out with that shit the other night. I thought, "Did you steal that from the honky tonk man? Where'd you get that outfit?"
Hey,
Fit the
The
sleeves
Rock
off.
is cool, cocky, and bad. He's a bad man. Chris,
Yes, he
you
is.
got anything? You got anything else that you want to throw out there?
No, I think I'm good. I think I said what I needed to say earlier.
All right. Well, before we go home here, I want everybody to plug their social media so that way if people want to follow you on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, they can. JJ, you were our very special guest for this episode. And by the way, your Twitter handle, I have to ask, where did you come up with the idea of your Twitter handle?
I honestly don't even know. It hit me. I saw somebody did one similar with somebody else's name, and I was like, you know what? I wanted like a little pseudonym that I could talk shit and people don't know it's me.
Well, now they do. At Mo Brogan. That's you, JJ.
I gotta admit, I saw you comment on one of my posts the other night, and I had no idea it was you until I saw the profile picture. I was like, oh, wait a minute, that guy kind of looks like Jeremiah. And then I clicked on it. I was like, oh shit, that is Jeremiah.
Yeah, it's me. I don't really have a TikTok yet. I mean, I have one, but I don't use it, so I don't know. I don't really.
I
You
see
should
you
get
TikToks
one.
all the time. So when
You
you
should-
get back on, you're going to be blown up in your inbox.
You should get one because you joining in on some like live watch alongs, I think would be fun.
Oh,
Getting
God,
your
man. If I
opinion.
get one, I'm gonna have to be so opinionated against other types of people and their opinions
fit
in
right in.
society today. Like,
Yeah.
That's why I love you,
Speaking-
JJ. You tell it like it is, brother.
Speaking
I know,
of
and that's why
TikTok,
sometimes I have to just keep my mouth shut.
speaking of TikTok, your boy finally hit 5K followers.
Damn, we've gone this far in the episode, and you're just now bringing this up. I thought you were gonna say it at the beginning.
We didn't. I finally hit it, so we both have hit 5. We have more followers than AEW has fans. Think about it.
True.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Hey, by the way, another one was a good one. Just because I like shitting on AEW. And you want to know why I like shitting on AEW? Not because I don't like AEW itself. I think if I was a wrestler and I had an opportunity to hone my craft there and be on TV and be a part of, like, they just signed with Amazon Prime, who wouldn't take that off? Come on. Everybody here would take that. But they're terrible at how they present it and make themselves look to their extremely delusional and neurotic fan base.
I've said this for a long time.
A group
They're
called
a
the Death
glorified
Riders.
local independent wrestling show.
Yes,
that just has a lot of money.
They had a bit with their Death Riders group, Moxley's group, and were attacking, I think, Edge and Jay. What's his name? Switchblade makes the save. They go to they do this whole bit, but basically at one point the woman in the Death Riders group gets laid out, and she proceeds to stay like completely unconscious for like the next 10 minutes of the entire skit. Like, and then they show her in the ambulance and she still hasn't moved. Do you understand in real life what it would take to be that incapacitated? You'd have to be like paralyzed or potentially dead. Like, the move she took would not constitute that. It's same for Claudio Castagnoli, who by all accounts, and everybody knows, he had a similar thing in the same skit or bit, whatever you want to call it. Piece of shit, waste of 10 minutes of my time that I had to watch. He's a really good wrestler. He understands this whole game. He's like old school trained. He knows how this shit works. He's like a modern William Regal almost in a way, and he like is going to subject himself to laying there unconscious too. Like, come on. If I hit you with a fucking car, then you could be like laid out like that. But a couple stiff shots or whatever from come on now.
Why is it I feel like when people go to AEW, they immediately get worse at wrestling?
Somebody made a good point about that. Somebody said that, like, I can't remember who it was. They said it's the WWE shine. All these guys that go there, they have that instant glorification right away that everybody knows who they are. Is it Moxley, Jericho, Mercedes Moné, Saraya, name them all. And then they all kind of slowly but surely that sheen wears off.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have that machine backing you up anymore.
But hey,
you don't have that production team backing you up. You're just you. You're living off your name. You also
notice what happens on the flip side when AEW superstars leave AEW and they come to WWE. Yeah. They become a bigger and better deal in WWE than they were in AEW. Perfect
NXT
example, Cody Rhodes.
NXT is what AEW aspires to be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's
Look
funny.
At Ricky Starks, or Ethan Page, Brian Pillman Jr., all those guys have elevated themselves with fairly much the same as who they were. They just take that and you put the machine behind it.
Exactly.
AEW can have all the money.
Well.
They have all the money, but they don't have the machine. You have to have the machine to make it run. They don't have that. And WWE has more money than they know what to do with, and they have the machine to make it work.
And they're smart. They've got excellent, intelligent minds running things behind the scenes instead of a son playing with his daddy's money. And that is what AEW is. Until you get somebody in there like a Shane McMahon who actually can run a wrestling company the way that a wrestling company needs to be ran, you're going to have this shit product that AEW keeps putting out. And that's why we have better ratings on Wednesday nights here on the WellsMania podcast than AEW shit show that they put out on TNT. I'm just saying.
Well, look at TNA. TNA, just by partnering with WWE, is going to elevate itself past AEW. I don't know if it'll ever elevate itself. TNA had a really good peak at one point.
It did.
I don't know if it'll ever get to that necessarily, but it's certainly going to be a good number 2.
But you know what? AEW, we're the best wrestle.
And for the record, I just want to point out, it was kind of surreal to me still to see the TNA World Champion walk out on a WWE pay-per-view when Henry showed up at the Royal Rumble. Like, I don't care that they're all like that. To me was kind of like something I thought I wouldn't see.
And you got that. You got that in the WWE. And,
like legitimately Payton, contracted, not like when like Booker T showed up, you're like, oh, he's already under WWE contract.
Right. He's still in TNA. AEW is definitely not where the big boys play. As much as they would love to be the second coming of WCW, they are not, and they never will be.
No.
JJ, exactly, Chris. I'm glad you're on this episode. Before we go, I took a trip down memory lane the other day, and this name got thrown in my face because he's going to be here in Indiana at the Indiana Comic-Con on March 14th and March 14th through March 16th, Indiana Comic-Con. Jackson Rathbone, the actor in Twilight, is going to be.
I'm the one that told you about that.
Yes, but I did some research, and for $100, I am willing to go in with any of these guys for $100. If Payton, Chris, I think we all should go in. We need to get JJ a photo op picture with Jackson Rathbone, because many years ago, when JJ came up with the Rathbone character, your name was Jackson Rathbone. And I will never forget on Twitter, the actor from Twilight tweeted at me and said that this dude stole my name. And I screenshotted that to you the other day, JJ, because I took that trip down memory lane, and I was literally laughing for like 10 minutes just thinking about this Jackson Rathbone Twilight actor just sitting there and then stumbling upon Jackson Rathbone, the WWT superstar, wondering, what the hell is this? Who is this guy? And why does he have my name? It just, oh man.
Did he stumble upon it though, or didn't you find him and put it out there, and then he was like, that's what agitated him? He was like, oh. And I was thinking, I was like, who the hell knows you?
I never.
If I take a picture with that guy, we're on the same level of notoriety, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
He's living off of Twilight fans, like people like my ex-wife, like 40-somethings now.
So I would argue,
like 20 years ago, what they fucking do.
I would argue that he needs to pay you for the picture.
Oh my God!
But I did more with the name than he did. At least I put more physicality into the name than he ever has.
We have to make this happen.
I think the better content would be following JJ around Comic-Con with a camera, watching him try to interact with those guys.
That would be awesome. I mean, there's
usually
some pretty
go to Comic-Con. I got to see. I usually go. I may end up going again.
There's some pretty big names, man. I mean, I'm scrolling through
the 16th, 14th, 15th, 16th.
Yeah, March 14th, 15th, and 16th at the Indiana Convention Center. We've got
Saturdays are usually the good one. I may be there for Saturday.
Brent Spiner from Star Trek. He'll be there.
Also Independence Day.
Yes. That's a nice, good reference right there.
Come on, give me with movie trivia all day long.
I'm scrolling through the list here. Ernie Hudson, one of the original Ghostbusters. He'll be there. Henry Thomas from E.T. He'll be there. Jackson Rathbone will be there. Jonathan Frakes, also from Star Trek, will be there. Payton, one of the I'm blanking on her name, from Star Wars, The Mandalorian. Katie,
she plays Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, she'll be there. Katie Sackhoff, great last name.
She's the only. Here's the crazy part. I'm kind of disappointed. She's the only Star Wars. She's the only Star Wars actor at Comic-Con this year. It's a very lackluster Star Wars lineup. She's the only one.
How about Peggy Bundy? Katie Seagal from Married with Children will be there.
Whoa. Sons of Anarchy too.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I've never seen that show.
Yeah, I think she may be more well known for her role in Sons of Anarchy.
She was phenomenal in Sons of Anarchy.
This one's kind of weird. Priscilla Presley will be at Indiana Comic-Con. I thought that name was very interesting that she'll be there.
Elvis's daughter or granddaughter?
I think that was Elvis's wife. Because Lisa Marie Presley was Elvis's daughter, and she has since passed. But I'm pretty sure
she's Elvis's ex-wife. I looked.
Yeah.
She's
how about
Claire's age.
These two, actually, these three kind of intrigue me. Tony Danza, Wayne Knight, and William Shatner.
Tony Danza's there? I didn't see him on the list.
Tony Danza.
William Shatner is
93 years old.
Dude, he's alien. He looks like he's 50 and he's 100.
I know.
Dude.
I saw him in person. He was there 2 years ago when I was there. And at the time he was like 90 or 91. And I actually thought, well, that's gotta be like some Hollywood thing they do, like with, making him look like, because like Jane Fonda's like 88 and looks like she's 60. No, he really does look like that. Like, I don't understand.
It's crazy.
And here's the WWE wrestling tie. William
Andy
Shatner
Serkis is going to be there.
WWE Hall of Famer William Shatner.
You know Andy Serkis, Planet of the Apes, Caesar.
Oh, yeah, he's big. I think the name.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You haven't read him off yet. I think the name that intrigues me the most, Vincent D'Onofrio, is going to be there. I'm a big Vincent D'Onofrio fan.
People say I look like him.
I can see it.
I can see it.
I can see it.
And Wayne Knight, personally, maybe we never talked about this, but if I'm more of a mega fan of anything outside of wrestling, it's Seinfeld. I'm like a Seinfeld. You think I'm a WCW buff? No, that's nothing compared to like Seinfeld and Wayne Knight, Newman, and then Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah, and don't forget Space Jam.
Oh, that would be cool to get
I would go just to meet Newman.
To get a old school Barbasol can.
Have him sign it.
Yeah.
Ryan Wilson from The Office is going to be there. Dean Cain, the Superman of the 90s.
Wait, Rainn Wilson. Dwight Schrute.
Rainn Wilson. Yep, Dwight Schrute's going to be there.
I didn't know he was going to be there. I've got like a million pops of Dwight Schrute.
We got to go.
Wow. Dude, WellsMania Podcast could
Mike
be
Coulter
invading the
from,
convention center.
Luke Cage is going to be there. Who else?
There's going to be a lot of people there.
The other day.
Maybe all the people can look forward to some live streams from Indiana Comic-Con next weekend.
I would be down for that. Yeah, there's Jackson Rathbone again. I was actually just pulling up the list. The guy looks like a washed-up folk singer.
That is a must. That is a must. A photo op with Rathbone and Jackson Rathbone.
How about did anybody ever watch Reno 911 like 20 years ago?
Yeah, they're going to be there.
Thomas Lennon and Cedric Yarbrough are going to be there from that. That's going to be fun.
Hey, looks like
you got to remember,
might be having an
impromptu
trip
experience. It costs a lot of money just to go up and walk up and say hello to these people, and then they kick you away. I'm like, it's
yeah.
Fine. Like they wanted me to pay like $60 to say hello to the blue Power Ranger, Billy, the original. And I'm like, as a Power Rangers buff, I don't care to meet Billy.
He's
the last on the list of colors I want to meet.
That's one thing that I've noticed.
Green, red, black, pink. Well, no, actually, technically, pink would be number one.
Kimberly,
but for different reasons.
So you know what? I think let's end on a random fun question. Everyone go around, pick your favorite Power Ranger. We'll end on that.
Oh, it's green and white. Tommy all day long.
Okay.
Yep. It's
Kyle,
got to be Tommy.
Who's your favorite Power? What color?
I was always a fan of Jason. I love the Red Ranger.
Okay. Chris?
I knew you'd say that.
I'm going Tommy as well, green or white.
Yeah, I
actually Steve Cardenas, who was the Red Ranger after Austin St. John, is also going to be at this.
I'm gonna make it 3 around. I gotta go green and white, Tommy.
Now, one of my first celebrity crushes probably was Kimberly, the Pink Ranger.
Amy Jo Johnson.
I remember back when I first saw her in 1993, I was very attracted to her. So
the girl that there's going to be a handful of actual Power Rangers at this thing. They're all the second gen ones, the ones that took over after the original.
Give me the OGs that are still with us, because unfortunately, 2 of the original Power Rangers are no longer with us.
The Yellow Ranger died way back in the late 90s in a car accident.
Yeah, a long time ago.
And then
Tommy committed suicide a handful of years back.
Jason David Frank, I remember that news.
Walter Jones, who played Zach, is still around. Billy's still around. Pink Ranger and Red Ranger.
Well,
so it sounds like 6 colors, 4 still remain.
It sounds like WellsMania Podcast might be making an appearance at the Indiana Convention Center. But fellas, we've been going for way too long.
This has been a wild episode.
Every time I'm on, it is
over 2 hours. But I do appreciate all of you for running wild on episode 165 of WellsMania Podcast. Congratulations to Payton and Stone Payne Productions for hitting 5K on TikTok. JJ, thank you very much for being a part of this episode. The 5-foot giant, Chris Engel, thank you, brother, as well. Hey, John Cena heel turn. I'm here for it. You're here for it. And to quote The Rock, sit back and enjoy the ride, because we are on the road to WrestleMania. And for the John Cena heel turn, I am bumping out this episode with Basic Thugonomics, John Cena's theme song back when he was a heel all those years ago. Until next episode, be sure to follow me all over everywhere at WellsMania. Take care, stay positive, run wild, and dominate the day.